And I'm sure as a kid growing up, you dreamed of one day maybe playing in the Super Bowl. And here you are, one win away from maybe fulfilling that dream. What is that like to be in this position?
It's a blessing to make it this far in the season. It's countless a lot of I know teams want to be in this position, so it's a blessing. Can't really take it for granted, but you also just got to be in the moment and take it one day at a time.
How well did you know Mike Sanderstill before you got here, and then what is sort of your relationship with him like now?
I knew of Mikey. We didn't cross paths until around like the whole draft process and everything, and then when we both got drafted here, that's kind of where our bond and stuff grew because we were around each other so much because the rookies were all the stuff trying to catch up. So now it's just like it's a brother to me. We talk about everything, football, life, everything, how the family doing, stuff like that. So it's just bigger than ball.
What would it mean to you if you were the first rookie quarterback to take a team to the Super Bowl?
Man, I'm not even thinking that far. It will obviously be a blessing, but I'm just focused on how can I be better day by day.
Jayden, how would you describe your working relationship with Cliff, and what do you think he does well?
Cliff puts us in the best positions. He doesn't want us to go out there and really think a lot. We want to go out there and play ball, play freely. But the relationship, man, I would say is obviously the best. We have that open communication where if I don't like a play, I could go in and tell Cliff, like, hey, I don't like this. Like, I don't think it's going to work. I'm not comfortable with it. And, he's not he might fight for it a little bit, but ultimately he doesn't want us to go out there and run plays that we're not comfortable with.
Hey, Jayden, when you're watching tape on defenses, how much do you pay attention to individual defensive pass rushers, or is it just kind of the group as a whole as you kind of, are figuring out what teams like to do to you?
Yeah, I think you obviously got to pay attention to those type of players. Obviously they're at the top position for the reason, but just the whole group as a whole, how do they rush together? Because, it's not always just independent one-on-ones. They run stunts and stuff like that, so you got to pay attention to that. But I pay attention to it, but I don't focus too much on it. I'm very aware of it, though.
Jayden, how much, all season long, Coach Quinn has professed, here's our plan. But this is different. We've now moved into this room to do these things. Your time is going to be a little bit more tighter with, other organizations want to talk to you. How good a job have the coaching staff done of just keeping things as normal as possible? And do you feel a difference this week?
I personally don't feel a difference. So to answer your question, I've been doing a real good job, and I think just as players and, obviously it's the Final Four, you should say, and, there's going to be a lot more eyes on these teams. So you could get out of whack, you could listen to the media, stuff like that, but, if you keep your same routine, stay consistent, it'll be workout.
Hey, Jayden, so before Saturday night's game, in the last few weeks, it took a bit to get the running game back established and solid and going. You all really were able to get that going on Saturday night. So what kind of went into you all just establishing that run again?
Yeah, the O-line did a tremendous job. The backs did too, getting downhill, giving them lanes to run through. And that's going to be huge. This type of time, you got to be able to run the ball, get downhill, get the tough yards, and we were able to go out there and do that last week, so we're hoping to build on that.
Hey, Jayden, I've noticed you've taken a handful of hits throughout your rookie season, and you're almost always popping up and smiling, whether it's at your why is that?
It's football. You're going to get hit. I'm not hurt. It's a hit. If somebody gets a good hit on me, man, it's a good hit and move on to the next play.
You mentioned people that you ask questions of and lean on in these times. Like, who have been the players, specifically now, but just throughout the season that you've really leaned on the most, and what have you taken away from them as a rookie?
It's numerous amount of people, but I'll just say to pinpoint a few. Obviously, Marcus Mariota, he's in the QB room, so I talk to him a lot. You got Zach Ertz, obviously I spend quite a lot of time with, but and then everybody knows me and Bobby are real close, and just be able to ask those different type of questions and just take advice from them. And the main thing is like, hey, go out there, stay consistent, don't make it bigger than what it is, keep your same routine, and you'll be prepared.
I guess kind of going off that, DQ, when we talked to him today, said when he sees you on the sideline, you're like the Terminator, just dialed in. You've been in, I would consider, some high-stress moments, big games. Like, why is the moment, do you think, never too big for you?
I just think for me, football is just it's fun, and like I said, it's like a safe haven for me. Everything I've been through personally in my life, so I'm not really going out there and stressing about the moment, because it's just a blessing to be one of those kids that are able to fulfill their dream and live out their dream of playing on Sundays in the NFL.
DQ also said earlier that at this point it's about execution and fundamentals, not installing new plays or anything. How do you approach seeing a team for a third time, and what does need to be different?
I think you put some different wrinkles into your game plan, and I'm pretty sure they will too. But at the end of the day, it's about execution and fundamentals, and that's a very good team that we're going to face for a third time again. So they got a lot of good players. Obviously, we know them; they know us. So it's going to be a fun matchup going up against them on Sunday.
Differently this time around?
It's not so much that. I think it's just more so reacting and adjusting on the fly during the game. If they do show us something different, which I'm pretty sure they will, but obviously, they're the scheme and it's what they are. And they're very confident in their players. Vic Fangio got those guys flying around. They're playing confident, so it's going to be a very good challenge.
Everybody always had a high level of trust in you, but was there a point this season where you felt like teammates, coaches weren't treating you like a traditional rookie anymore?
I don't know. Nah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's up to them. I don't think they necessarily treat me as a rookie. The day I got there, everybody was treated equally. So I would say, nah, not really.
Jayden, there's a lot of talk about Terry McLaurin and what he can do, but obviously Diami has really come on in the playoffs as well. It seems like almost every week you're finding Zach Ertz for a big play. What can you say about the offense?
Everybody loves playing with each other. Being a part of this team of brotherhood that we speak, we preach here. So we'll go to bat, we'll go to war with each other. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to keep fighting to the end of the game. So I got the utmost trust in those guys to go out there, put in the work throughout the week, be prepared when those plays need to be made on Sundays.
Yep, Jayden, every team left right now has a quarterback who can both throw the ball and pose a real threat with their running as well. For you, for like a quarterback who came through the game, high school, college, in your age or generation, is there such thing as like a running quarterback anymore, or is that just kind of like part and parcel with how the position is played right now?
I think that's just how the position is played. You got guys on the other side of the ball that can run 4.4, 4.3, so you got to be able to move a little bit, be able to play make. So I think that's just a part of the game and how the game's evolving now.
Getting back to Zach Ertz, how important has he been, as a veteran tight end, kind of like a safety valve for you? And then also, you said you spent a lot of time with him. There's a bit of an age gap between you two. What are some of the ways that might show itself off the field?
Everybody everybody's kind of like a big kid in a way. You just gotta be able to be comfortable enough to bring that side out. So I think I do a good enough job of joking around with the older guys and stuff like that. And then me and Zach, I mean, just that relationship that we built. Obviously, tight end could be a quarterback's best friend, and he's seen a lot of football in this league. So just be able to lean on him in certain situations and kind of pick his brain early on. And as we built the relationship, having those type of conversations, this is how I want you to run this route versus coverage and stuff like that.
Jayden, coming up Sunday at 3 o'clock, all season we've talked about your calm, talked about your poise, your ability to make plays in big moments. Sunday at 3 o'clock, arguably the biggest game of your life. What's going through your mind, and how do you make sure that you're present in that moment?
I don't know. We'll see when that time comes. Now I'm just focused on, take care of my body and get ready for practice tomorrow. Appreciate y'all.
y'all doing? Y'all good? Yeah, all right. That's glad.
I know everybody says keep everything normal, keep it all the same. It's only day one of this week, but how is that going? How is that process going of keeping it normal?
Like what we come in and do every day. Just get back to the film room, keeping it simple for us. You know, getting the game plan down, going through practice, see our looks, come back, make corrections, and go from there.
Saying that finding a way to slow down Saquon Barkley a bit is going to be key for this game. Do you take anything away from after the first quarter of the last game that you guys were able to keep him more in check? Is there something you could take away from that, you think, going forward?
No, man, it's just pretty simple. Just, you know, us being in our gaps and making our hits. You know, he's gonna find little creases here and there, and that's something he's good at. You know, checking every gaps, making sure everybody's disciplined, and you know, on our part, we just got to be in our gaps and making our hits when it comes.
Yeah, let's just do that. Hey, Frankie, this will be your third turn, obviously, feeling or seeing Philly, rather. What did you see? Just can you take away from both of those opportunities, first and foremost?
Man, just making the most out of them. Like, this is my first, you know, going run for it for the playoffs, and I'm just trying to, you know, keep my emotions here, keep it neutral, you know, and just I know all of the guys are the same way, so you know, I'm trying to not make it a big thing or not. It's just another game for us where, you know, we just got to go out and you know, play disciplined football.
If you could go back to September, knowing what you know now about what this team's been able to build, what would you maybe tell yourself back then?
Man, it's crazy because I was like asking the guys, like, if we were to ask the question, like, would y'all think we would be here today or we might have a chance? A lot of guys say we have a chance, you know what I mean? But it just took time for us to build that brotherhood, build that bonding, anybody, anywhere, anytime, and we got that. So, man, we got a special group, and I'm going to go with my boys, 100.
Hey, Frankie, before the start of the season, not a lot of people gave this Washington team an opportunity to make it this far, get to the playoffs. Everyone spit it against you.
Yeah.
Does that motivate the team, or does that fire you guys up before every game?
Yeah, man, you know, we always been counted out, and we just let them handle that, and whatever we handle in the building and in our locker room, that's the only thing we can control. You know, and a lot of us, man, we all underdog mentality, and I kind of like that because nobody's a diva on the team. Everybody just come put their head down to work, and, you know, that's the type of team we have.
On Saturday after the Quan interception, you got yourself a pretty good shot on Jared Goff. Is that one of those things that when you have an opportunity to go to lay a block or lay a hit on a quarterback who's protected so much during the game, do you relish that opportunity? Do you try and take the best advantage of it that you can, obviously within the rules?
Yeah, man, on that specific play, you know, I thought Quan was right behind me the whole way. I was running. I looked back, he made one miss, and then by the time I looked up, you know, Goff was right there. No intentions of me trying to, you know, block in any way, just trying to get my boy in the end zone. And, you know, like I said before, I hope he all right, you know. And, you know, it's football, man. We play it fast and violently, and that's how I kind of play the game. And that's how, you know, shout out to Kevin Green, Hall of Fame, that's how he taught me the game. So I play like how he played. And, you know, it got me this far, so I ain't going to change anything about it.
When you look at the two games you guys have played against the Eagles, Saquon has had a couple of big runs, but outside of those big runs, you guys have done a pretty good job of hemming him in. How do you kind of not allow those big plays and kind of keep them to, you know, the three?
And finding gaps. On our side of the ball on defense, we just got to be in our gaps, really disciplined. Say ball go, you know, going left side and I'm on the right. He's going to find these little creases where he can bounce. So he's going to test that time comes. We just got to make our hits.
Hey, Frankie, so Coach Quinn talks a lot about teams, inclusive of you all, things that don't come up on the stat sheet. So when you look at the Eagles offense, what are some things that they're really good at that may not come up on the stat sheet?
Man, what are they not good at? What they are good at? Man, they're a good football team. They got something special, and, you know, I like my cards better than them. So, you know, nothing against them. Any of that is the third time playing each other, and, you know, I had a feeling that, you know, this is gonna come back and turn around. So, we just gotta do our job and go from there.
And this season is an all-pro year for you. So how are you feeling about this year and just the overall opportunity that you have had this year and made all-pro?
Man, that's been one of my goals. You know, I wrote it down at the beginning of the year. I wanted to be, you know, first all-pro, but, you know, just being an all-pro is just a testament on my work and I've been put in, and, you know, the guys and coaches that play a huge part of where I'm at. So I'm just overly blessed. And, you know, God's been very good to me and my family and put me in positions where this is my calling. And, you know, I'm here today and, you know, playing for the playoffs. So going to have a chance to go to the big chip. So I'm just embracing be where my feet at and, you know, go from there.
You mentioned at the start, and you related a little bit to it there, that this is your first real postseason run. I'm just curious, like, how does it feel for you after, I think this is your first winning season,
right?
First winning season, first year in Washington, and you're speaking in front of a NFC Championship backdrop. How does that feel?
Man, it feels special. Like, all my emotions, everything is all new. So, you know, this is my first time being in the NFC playoffs championship, and I'm just happy I got JD5 on the other side, man, to make things happen. You know, I'm just trying to do my part, and our defense take some control we can control, and, you know, and help us win.
You mentioned, you know, the brotherhood earlier. That's obviously a big Dan Quinn thing. You know, first winning season. You mentioned riding with your guys. You've been to a few places now. Like, what's been different about this place culturally that's really differentiated to you and made a difference? You feel like
I think one thing is saying it, but like living it and actually, you know, bring it to life is one thing. You know, everybody, like the interception, like we all in the end zone. And I don't know, it's just different energy. You know, people just doing their part, but also just celebrating with each other. And, you know, in the locker room, we talking, we playing cards, like that. That's the huge, you know, team bonding and guys off the field, you know, with that connection we have.
Every step of the way, this postseason, you guys have played against a really tough running back. Obviously, we've been talking about it. Saquon for a third time this weekend. But do you enjoy those heavyweight matches, or do you think, like, this is another tough day of work? How do you approach going?
I enjoy them a lot. I like them. I like these kind of games, and because, you know, they count us out, and also like going against a good running back. That's where you really, you know, see yourself as a team, as a defense. As far as my goal, man, going against the best is like he's gonna bring out the best in you. So, and he's one of the best by far to ever play the position, and, you know, he balling out this year. So, hats off to him. But, you know, by every time we play him, it's gonna be a dogfight, and that's the type of you know, game we bring, and, you know, run around and hit, you know, very violently. So that's all I gotta say about, you know, heading to this game. Appreciate it.
For you, go ahead. Who is it?
Ben, why don't you sit here? I'm good.
Once before, way back, but this is a different deal, as you've talked about. How is, from your years of being like a leader on this team, what has this run been like so far, you know, as one of the stars, one of the leaders out here?
Yeah, it's been a great run so far, seeing the way that we've come together throughout the course of the season. Fought through some adversity in the middle part of the season when we lost a few, and then to end the season strong like the way we did. That momentum I feel like we've carried into the playoffs, and each week we've gotten better. DQ talks a lot about leveling up, being better each week, and I feel like we've answered that call, and it's going to take our best this week to be able to win in Philly. So it's been great to be a part of this, but you know, we're not really celebrating or reminiscing because the job's not done yet. So we're looking forward to the challenge this weekend, but I'm proud of the way that we have just continued to get better each and every week, and we still don't feel like we've reached our ceiling. So to feel that way in this part of the season you couldn't ask for more. So everything we want still out in front of us, but we're focused on preparing the White Ray so we could go into this game fully ready to go.
Terry, in working with Cliff, it seems like he wants or listens to your guys' input on stuff. How does that all work, and how helpful is that to getting you guys going?
Yeah, I feel like this entire offensive unit, coaches and players included, trust his plan and trust the way he puts the plan out in front of us, from the way we practice to the way we are expected to play without the ball, from the tempo we're expected to play with. His expectations are extremely clear. And, I feel like that is something throughout football that is probably preached in all 32 locker rooms, the expectations. But I feel like one of the things that I feel like separates Cliff, that in my experience being in the league, can work not only just during the week, but when we get out there and the bullets are flying. I don't think I've quite experienced a coach on the offensive side of the ball who's that adamant about it. I've had that in the past where you ask for your opinion, but to implement it in real time, it takes a lot of trust for your coordinator to do that and put that kind of trust in the group of guys that we have. And I think it's a testament to the group of guys we have in the locker room on the offensive side of the ball, to where he fully trusts what we're seeing in our preparation, and we trust in his ability to give us the best game plan to be successful. So it's a very cohesive relationship that we feel like we have with him. And, I think he trusts that we're going to be where we need to be and execute the game plan, but we also trust that he's going to put us in the best situation to be successful. And when you kind of have that relationship with a coach, you feel like anything is possible, because you're going with a game plan, and the other team makes plays as well, so you got to be able to adjust on the fly. And so for him to be able to come up to us during the sidelines, during the games, and ask what we like, or we're going to get to this, what do you think about that? That open dialogue, I feel like that's huge, because obviously as players, we know the coach's job is to coach and put us in the best situation to be successful. But at the same time, there's an element of the game where we're playing out there on the field and things are happening fast. It's sometimes hard for the coordinators to be able to see. So to have a coach that truly embodies that and not only just talks about it, he walks it, it's unbelievably empowering for us. And I feel like that's why we've been able to continue to improve this offense over the course of the season.
DQ was talking about Jayden's demeanor during games, specifically on the sideline, saying he said he's the Terminator. I might crack a smile or something after the game's over.
Right.
But to have that, do you notice that he stays, doesn't ride the roller coaster of a game, and is it comforting as a receiver to see that?
Yeah, I mean, he's locked in from the start of quarter one to the end of quarter four, and I would definitely echo that sentiment. He stays as even keel as a player I've ever been around. I don't try to use that as a cliche, but to have that kind of demeanor as a rookie and then a rookie quarterback is I feel like one of the things that makes him so unique. And whether it's a good play or a bad play, he's always worried about the next play. And he's worried about how we can execute this next play at the highest possible ability that we have for our offense. And so he's really a great teammate to be around. Again, he goes about his business the right way. He's the ultimate pro as a rookie. He knows what it's like to not only take care of his body, but to put the time and the work in the film study. And his ability to get better each and every week is something that's always blown me away since he's gotten here. And, I think when you see your quarterback is never shaken, good or bad, that gives you confidence any position, defense as well, special teams, everybody. When you know one of the leaders of your team is, no matter what's happening, he's going to continue to be himself and stay even. So we played in some of the most hostile environments. We've been playing in some of the biggest stages, and he's treating it the same each and every week. And, I love that about him, and that's I feel like something that permeates throughout our team, and I don't see that changing with him. So to have that so early in his career, it's a testament to who he is as a person, the way he was raised by his family, and is the reason why I feel like he has a chance to be a really great player in the league.
To that point, what is something that maybe gets him out of that character, that maybe gets him fired up? Is there any example you have? Because he does seem so interesting.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like one thing that stood out to me was the Ravens game when we lost that game, and he's sitting on the cooler, and he's really pissed off. Like you can see it visibly on his face that he's really mad and frustrated with how the game is gone. And as a vet, it's a long season. That was a great team, as you saw. They made it to a very far point in the playoffs, and we didn't play our best, but it was early part of the season, so we knew there was a lot of ball left. But his mindset in that game was like, we can't afford to lose anything. He doesn't want to lose at anything. And after him and I had the conversation, and I told him, don't ever lose that, because I feel like in this league, fortunately for him and this team, we haven't experienced that a lot this year, losing, but you're going to lose some games in the NFL, and the one thing you can't do is accept that. And I feel like one thing that really sets him apart. He doesn't accept losing. He doesn't accept a bad rep out in practice. Like, you see him at this point in the season, if he doesn't like the rep, we're doing it again. And I think that's really what stands out about him, his competitiveness, whether it's in practice, whether he's playing cards down in the weight room, in the locker room, or we're out in the game. He's going to continue to compete, and his demeanor shows that each and every rep.
Terry, a lot's been kind of written this year about the change of the culture, DQ and Jayden, Bobby, guys like that coming in. What's had the biggest influence or impact on you as a guy that's only been here, maybe that you've learned, but also, like, what's been important for veterans like you that have been here to maybe communicate back the other way that, the new people need to know about playing in Washington?
Yeah, I think DQ was first and foremost, he's a leader of men. Playing for a coach that allows you to be yourself within the culture is extremely empowering. I'm sure he's learned a lot about me. I've learned a lot about him, and I've learned a lot about this team and the culture that we've been building. And he's allowed us to drive this car this season in the eyes of how we want this Commanders team to look like. We have veterans and veteran coaches coming from all throughout the league to be on this team this year. And the first thing we really focused on was getting as close as we could, getting to know each other on a personal level, being able to depend. It's really important when you go through the ups and downs of an NFL season. And, one of my favorite DQ quotes is, he hates the words being underdogs, or, I think, Tampa, first time we played them, somebody made the comment like, oh, you guys will get them next year. You guys will get them the next time. And he's like, nah, screw that. Like, we're going to get them this time. And I love that demeanor, because it's a no excuse mentality. And when he says this is just what we do, we're living that right now. Like, this is a huge game, biggest game that I know I played in my career. A lot of us have played in our careers. But in my emotions about this game is this is just what we do. This is what we've been doing all season. And so you don't have to get up and get emotionally hype or do anything different or extra this week, because we've been preparing like a championship game each and every week of the season. The way we prepare is to play like we're playing in the Super Bowl. And I think that we're reaping the results of that, but also having other guys who have been in the league as long as Bobby has Zach have got Super Bowls. They have the type of experience that I don't have. And so I've learned a lot from them as leaders, as myself, just being 6 years in the league, of when to say the right things, when to kind of take a step back. And it's allowed me to become even more of a vocal leader this year, not only in my unit, but the group, our offensive group, and the team. And so it feels great, honestly, knowing that all that weight doesn't fall on one person. I think that's one thing that's different this year, where all the leadership, all the playmaking, all the gotta-have-it situation moments don't fall on one person, one player, one coach. It's a collective unit that comes together, who are very unselfish, that want to get the job done. And just being dog-ass competitors, man, I think that's something that I love about this culture. That's the first thing that DQ said when he got here. If you're a dog-ass competitor, this is the place for you. And I sat up in my seat and I smiled, because that's what I've been itching for. And to be a part of an entire organization, top to bottom, from ownership down to the players, you can see why the culture has cultivated so quickly, because we've bought into what DQ is saying, and the players have taken ownership, not only coming together and galvanizing, but putting the work in on the field to make sure that we're backing up our words with our actions.
Terry, and so kind of along that same lines, very early on in the season, I think even back to OTAs, you all established something called the Commander Standard.
Yeah.
And so how has that played a factor, that words into action, into where you
Mhm.
are right now?
Yeah, that's it's a code we live by. You know, it's something that came up in our early part of our season in the spring, and you know, DQ put it into the leaders' hands and told us to come up with something that you could call it a code, a creed, a saying, whatever you want to call it. It's something that we all live by, that we all sign, that we all, no matter if you've been here for 6 years, or you just came in off of free agency or, you know, practice squad, whatever. This is the code that you live by as a commander. And when you hold a standard and you put it in writing, you sign your name to it, you hold yourself accountable to that. And not only you hold yourself accountable to that, the other guys in the locker room are going to hold you accountable to that. And it's really cool to be able to see the words that we put down, and you look at what we wrote back in, what was it, April, March, whenever we wrote it early in the spring, and we're now here in January, and you see all the things that we wrote on that piece of paper are coming to life, and it's the way of life that we approach each and every day coming through the building. So it was cool to be able to come up with something from scratch with a group of guys who didn't really know each other much before this season, but we had a goal of being different and being uncommon than anything this place has ever seen. And for us to put that down on paper and then live by it, anybody can come up here and see all these sayings. Like, we can say anybody, anytime, anywhere, but if you don't live it, like, it doesn't really mean nothing. And I think we got a group of people who want to live the words that we're speaking, and that's why I'm big on, you know, being who you say you are. And doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to fall short. But if you say you're a dog or a competitor, you have to be that. You can't pick and choose when you're whatever you say you are. And so that commander standard is non-negotiable. And the great thing about it is there hasn't been any issues and hiccups with it, because that's the culture that we've created here. And so going forward, that's who we are. And so whoever comes in here, that's what you hold your standard to. And that's the great thing about a culture, because before that, like, you know, sometimes anything goes. Like, it's sometimes hard to keep guys accountable, but when you have one sound, one standard, and everybody's holding accountable to it, you got no choice but to live up to that standard and uphold that, because if you don't, you stick out like a sore thumb, and you got to buy in. So it's not a threat. We take that with great pride, because we built that from the ground up, and we're looking forward to building on that.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. E, what do guys who have never had to play in a game like this have to know about playing in a game like this?
Yeah, I think you can't make it bigger than what it really is. You know, the things that win you games in the regular season are the same thing that win you games in the postseason. And really the same things that lose you games in the regular season are the things that lose you games in the postseason. And it's not some mind-blowing saying or anything. It's not earth-shattering. But the messaging that DQ has done from the beginning of the season has been phenomenal, that every week that we partake in is championship week. And so our process of winning has continued on from week one, and it's evolved over the weeks. But the same things that got us to 12-5 in the regular season with the opportunity to be in the playoffs are the same things that we need to approach this game with. And you can't go out there and try and be Superman or put your cape on. You got to go out there and play really good football for 4 quarters and eliminate as many mistakes as possible. And ultimately it comes down to who's going to make the most plays. And I got a lot of confidence in the guys, but you can't go out there and try and do something that you haven't done the past 20 weeks or so.
I know this is not a new question for you, but you're going back to a place you've been in you played at for many years. How do you kind of compartmentalize that with knowing what the task at hand is, what the goal at hand is on Sunday?
Yeah, I think being able to go back there early in the season for the first time as an opponent got a lot of the emotions out of the way, per se. It's not going to be the first time seeing people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And so for me, I understand the environment it's going to be. I understand how I'm going to be receptive this time versus last time probably because they got a lot at stake as well. Everyone knows how I feel about that building, the people in that building, people in that community. Our foundation is still doing work out there for a reason. But at the same time, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're giving ourselves a chance to win the football game. When the whistle blows, it's not going to be about the previous 9 years that I had there. It's going to be about trying to make as many plays for this team as possible, whether that's in the run game or the pass game. But I'm not going out there with the chip on my shoulder or trying to prove people X, Y, or Z. I'm just trying to go out there and be the best version of myself.
Zach, you talked about this a little bit, but what were some of the things that maybe, was there a moment that jumped out to you where he's like, this kid could be different because?
I think his approach to the game has really been different compared to a lot of people that I've been around when they're young. You know, a lot of times when you're young in the league, it's a lot of trial and error to see what works for you. And oftentimes you're reactionary in terms of how your process is. And it's like, oh, after I failed a couple of times, maybe I'll do X, Y, and Z a little more. Whereas Jayden, the moment he first got here, he was the first one in the building, studying as much as possible. He was very proactive in his approach to being great. And so obviously the physical tools have stood out. I've said that many times from the moment he got here. You don't get drafted number 2 overall without the physical tools. But it's really his approach that has set him apart, in my opinion, and is going to continue to set him apart for as long as he wants to play in this league.
For yourself, after the last couple of years, to have this year to be where you are now, what does it mean to you?
It means a ton, obviously, just to have this opportunity. You know, last year in Arizona, I've spoken about it, was extremely difficult. Coming off the knee injury, playing for Cliff, and then he's gone after a year after him signing the long deal. And so I was out of the league for a long time. I really didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if I was going to be done after I didn't get picked up for a long time last year. I had opportunities to play, but it wasn't the right opportunity. And just when Cliff got this job and DQ got this job, was really an opportunity for me to just fall back in love with the game again, I would say, and really just enjoy the process again, and just be around people that would be at my best. And so it's just been so much fun. It's exceeded all my expectations. Obviously, playing with a quarterback like Jayden has helped a ton, and just his humility and eagerness to grow. And I still feel like we're just scratching the surface together as quarterback-tight end relationship, even though it's the NFC Championship. I still feel like there's so much room to grow. I'm sure Terry feels the same way even after the year that he's had, that like all of us are just scratching the surface together. And so I think it's a testament to the people that they brought in, the coaching that they brought in, and just the enjoyment we're having with one another.
Along the same lines, was there a point where you talked about falling back in love with the game? Was there a point where you're so frustrated that you ever thought about not playing? And what has this done for you mentally on the field?
I don't think there was a point where I was like, man, I'm going to retire. This is probably it. But I do think that those thoughts of, are you still the same player, creep in when you have the year like last year where it was just extremely difficult, came back from the knee injury, probably a little too early, and then you're out of the league for 8 weeks, however long it was, and the film probably wasn't as good as it could have been, and so it's just like, are you going to be the same player when you come back? And I really just went back to my roots. You know, I went back to training with the strength coach from college that I had trained with for a long time, but we kind of went our separate ways for a year. Being able to be back with Shannon Turley and just train with him again all off season. This is kind of the longest time I had training straight since I started playing football. I pretty much had from October, from when I got hurt last year, hurt per se, from how that was dealt with, and then to the off season, I had 6 months to train straight. Awesome to be able to just grind and get explosive again, feel fast again. And so I just wanted the opportunity to come out here and prove that I am still the same guy. And it's been awesome to be able to go out there and make plays for this team. Obviously, I'm not playing 90% like I used to. It's a good percentage, and I feel like I'm used effectively and trying to make an impact. And it's not the volume for me anymore. You know, I've had all the stats that I need to have. It's just about making an impact however I can.
We got to clear out for about an hour, and then we're going to resume at 4, but they got a meeting in here at 3.
Yes, we don't I will check if we have to either way, we got to make it.
locked inside a key. Keeping track of love, speedy in the sleep. Growing up in the hood, you learn how to be. I'm gonna let it stack the thing I never see. Down the back, got some work done on the butt. Gotta catch another fight as soon as I can run. Just being honest, be the first to show me love. The first time that I see them, know that was 15. In the belly, my life, I like how it's up. Got wet and bad, but still don't got a wicked cup. Jeffrey should be all done. Just getting final word.